Hello guys and welcome to today's video. Today we're back with 9.1.1, the new quest on Marvel Contest of Champions. So we'll start with what I think was the easiest path with a little bit of gameplay on screen, and then go through the other paths and show you the boss fights, because I have most of those recorded from going through this fight. I was on holiday when it came out, so I wasn't unable to get the video out instantly, but still was able to record it, and then now I'm able to talk over it. So the easiest path, in my opinion, is the one on screen, although I'm not making it look too easy because this Green Goblin is by far the hardest of the fights, I think. So what you have here is you have Plasmatic Aura. When the defender triggers an armor up buff and reaches 3 or more stacks, they gain a Plasmatic Aura buff for 10 seconds. Basically, while this buff is active, if you strike the defender with a light or medium attack, it inflicts a plasma on you, dealing 20% of their attack as energy damage. Once it expires, you don't get it again for 10 seconds, but still is very, very frustrating. So every 5 seconds, the defender gains an indefinite armor up. So only when they trigger an armor up do the defender get the Plasmatic Aura. So you want to bring in champions who can stop them from getting armor up breaks. This links quite nicely into Cosmic Fracture. So Cosmic Attackers' light attacks have a 50% chance to armor break the defender, reducing their armor rating. So obviously, Cosmic Attackers are the key here. You can bring in Cosmic Champs with armor break as well. So, someone like Null, Silver Surfer, CGR, very, very good options too. Some other little notes to think about. The defender's immune to Incinerate. That's not too big of an issue. The defender are immune to Fate Seals, nullify all of that stuff with the MP Real Defiance, so you can't bring in Mystic Champions to stop that armor up buff. And whenever you land the same type of basic attack twice in a row, they go unblockable. So it's not too difficult. If anything, the defenders make it a little bit more difficult, and especially Green Goblin and Moondragon, the two last defenders, they just make it such a pain because obviously they go unblockable because you're doing the same basic attack twice in a row quite a lot. And if they get that Plasmatic Aura, that's not really the thing I think you need to worry about. It's more that annoying unblockable. So any champs, Cosmic Champs that can block unblockables would be great. But I think some of the best counters here are Hercules Hercules on his own because he is a Cosmic Champion, but you can also bring him in with Captain America Infinity War for that armor break. You've also then got Guardian. It can be very, very useful as well. Null, CGR, Silver Surfer, any Cosmic Champion basically. So whoever your best, highest level Cosmic Champ is, bring those in. Then we're on to the Silver Surfer fight, so we'll talk a little bit about this fight, as it is the one on screen. I use Wiccan here, and he is a really, really great champion. I should use him more and more. And then for the second part of it, I use Dr. Doom because Wiccan does get knocked out. As always, I would recommend bringing in somebody who... You have 4 champions for the path, 1 champion for the boss, and then obviously you can swap another champion in, so you've got 2 champions there for the boss. So I obviously had Wiccan, and then I brought in Dr. Doom. So the nodes on here are a little bit annoying, but it's not too big of an issue. You basically just want to use a Mystic that buffs are advantages to them. So Kashala, America Chavez, Wiccan, Absorbing Man, Rintra is very good, although a 6-star. And just keep punishing his specials to keep that occult immunity and keep on nullifying Silver Surfer's buff. So that occult immunity does mean that when he is immune to all nullify stagger debuffs, but when you intercept or punish his special attack, that does go on cooldown. But I'm obviously using Wiccan here, so he has that neutralize, which he isn't immune to, which comes in very, very handy. You also have Eldritch Star, so every time a buff is nullified, say using a Dr. Doom, which you will see in a second, it does put a neutralize on Silver Surfer for a prolonged period. I think it's around 12 seconds. So you want to punish his special attacks. If you've got a nullified champion like Dr. Doom or Kashala, you then want to throw your special one, put those effects on, and then that neutralize will be on, stopping future buffs. just making the fight that little bit easier. He's also got steady perseverance, so that obviously means that after a special attack, he does go stun immune if you've not put the Eldritch Star on or are nullifying that buff. So the fight, yeah, it's really not as complex as it may seem. You just want to punish the special attacks, as you'll see here. That stun immune will go on, which is a little bit frustrating, but I've staggered his next attack. And then I want to keep doing that with Dr. Doom, and the fight becomes that little bit easier. You can see here, I've got 2 neutralizers on now because I staggered 2 buffs. That immunity is on because I didn't punish his special attacks, but if I just Doom Cycle here, it becomes very, very easy. The fight doesn't last too long, and really, it's not too much of an issue at all. So again, punish specials, throw, nullify, or stagger his attacks, keeping that stun immunity off, and that's really the fight for the Silver Surfer. So let's go on to one of the next paths while this fight ends. So the next path to talk about is the one beginning with Gambit. So the nodes on here are Scourge, random damage over time, block proficiency is down, you have a Proliferate and Transistor. So these are new, these Scourge effects. What happens is the defender gains a Scourge every 2 seconds. This is paused after heavy attacks and after a heavy attack, and the striker removes 5 of these charges. When struck or landing a hit on the defender, they have 5% chance per Scourge to inflict either bleed, poison, or rupture. So you really just want to use your highest level Star Striker to make sure you can put as many strikers on as possible. And then champions who either purify these buffs or who are immune to them. So for this I used Chill, was very, very good. Kingpin was good, and then some of the robots as well who were quite useful for this. So we'll move on now. Again, to not something the Longshot boss that is too tricky. This boss, said, actually, with this many strikers on as possible, and I uploaded it as a short just to show you guys combat how much Hulk really destroys him. The defenders, but it is still relatively tricky boss. He's got Crushing Strike, so whenever the Science Attacker activates a striker, they're inflicted with a stun passive while that striker is active, and a Crush debuff, basically making you unblockable, so obviously bringing in Science Champions is key, you'll see in this fight. Personal Space, when the attacker is close to the defender, the attacker gains a 5-second placebo. Obviously that means that he can continue to nullify them, making Longshot that little bit more stronger. The main part of this fight is the Sixth Sense. So the defender has a 50% chance to auto-block all medium and lights, and True Lies applies, so you can't have True Strike, True Accuracy, True Focus, True Sense. They're all minus 100% ability accuracy. And then the attacker's heavy attacks suffer a 50% reduction for each heavy attack previously used, and the defender rewards 150% more spirit when struck. But while they're at max, the attacker is below maximum spirit, so while it's charging, the defender drains 1.11% of attacker spirit per second. So you can see here the fight is a little bit ridiculous with Hulk, because I just constantly throw this special one until I'm able to throw my striker. I then get the combos about right. Again, sort of continue to do this while as much as I can and build those Furies up. Once I've built those Furies up, I just keep trying to stun lock in with the SP1, but you'll see it starts to have such a short duration that really I'm just trapping him in the corner with the Crush debuff. And really that's all you kind of have to do, which is what I've found is, like, as you can see here, I'm sort of just trapping him in, throwing my striker when, so you see there, I'm able to throw that striker, and then the fight ends. So it's relatively easy. Some of the MVPs here are Hulk, She-Hulk, Titania, Human Torch. Spider-Ham can work, but you want to do champions with as much damage as possible because of that Crush debuff. So that's really the Longshot fight. As I said, throw your striker as soon as you can. Have a striker with as max and as high level as you can. So a 6-star striker obviously takes less hits to gain, and that's really the fight. So that's the Longshot fight. And then finally we're on to the Hulk fight. So the Hulk Gladiator fight is a little bit annoying. I'm not a big fan of this fight. I found it a bit frustrating, but basically what happens is, or I did with Killmonger, and then with Chill, she just absolutely destroyed him. So you have to put bleeds on. These bleeds cause a slow, so he no longer becomes unstoppable. So that sort of nullifies the annoying part of a Hulk Ragnarok boss. So champions with lots of bleeds, Nick Fury, Chill, basically anyone with bleeds are very, very useful for this. Killmonger, however, doesn't work because this Hulk Ragnarok matches your buffs. So if you get hit, he matches the indestructible buff, and then, you know, that just causes chaos. He also matches the power gain because you have that increased power gain when you've got debuffs on you. So it just really, really makes this fight very, very annoying. Baron Zemo is also a pretty good counter for this fight, so that is also worth noting. But the reason why bleed is so good is because the node on this fight is Blood Drive. So whenever a skill attacker inflicts a bleed, they also inflict a non-stacking slow passive, preventing him from obviously evading or have that unstoppable. You also gain a vicious passive, so that increases the potency of those bleeds. There is third law, so whenever the attacker gains an unblockable understrike, so as we said, he copies it. While the attacker is suffering from a debuff, the defender gains a passive fury. So again, that is something to be wary of, but isn't too big of an issue. You have got Here Comes the Boom. So this is probably the most important. The defender starts the fight passively special locked. The special lock's only removed while the defender is suffering from a taunt or while they're at 3 bars of power. So basically, if they don't have a taunt, they'll get to 3 bars of power, and then they'll throw their special 3. To sort of get around this, there's Chum the Waters. So whenever the attacker dodges an attack, both champions are inflicted with a heal block, taunt, and disorient. So there's your taunt, making it possible for him to throw special attacks. And finally, using the Dexterity Mastery to avoid an attack grants the attacker a Fury charge, increasing their attack rating by 10% per charge. So that's really it for the Hulk Ragnarok fight. Inflict your bleeds, putting on that slow. Try and dodge as many attacks as you can with dexterity to ensure that both champions, or he then gets the taunt, and then that's it. It's a very, very easy fight. And then finally, we have the final path. That's all the bosses done, so we'll just quickly talk through this path. Whenever a mutant attacker activates a striker, they gain a non-stacking 30% energize passive. Striking the defender with the first hit of a heavy attack refreshes the energize. Whenever the attacker's combo meter reaches 15, the defender goes unblockable for 5 seconds. You don't do any damage through regular hits, only through special attacks, but they deal 400% more damage, so a classic power shield. And then finally, when the attacker triggers a buff, is immediately nullified, and the defender gains 25% bar of power. I also think there's an immunity in here to Incinerate, so good champions for this path are obviously mutant attackers like Kitty Pryde. Bishop can be very good. Professor X is quite handy for this, but I also went through and I used sort of Venom. Venom was very good because I didn't need to have a mutant attacker. It did make it mean I could have that energized, so more special attacks, but 3 special 2s or a couple special 1s and a special 2 with Venom, and the fight was over anyway. So there are lots of options out there. Just anyone who does big special attack damage, because I'm short on mutants, but obviously if you can, bring in your mutants. That is the Squirrel Girl path. That is this video. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you have, please like and subscribe down below. That would be much appreciated. That does it for the 9.1.1 walkthrough and all of the bosses. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.